All right, so here we are for another episode of the Unbiased Truth podcast, After Hours. Fun story. This is our third After Hours, but only second one being aired, hopefully. We'll see how that goes. Because we had a fill-in board operator last time, and while she enjoyed herself, she never hit the record button. And, yeah.
We got drunk for no reason.
Got drunk for no reason. And, so we were actually talking about that not too long ago. And my wife was like, well, if that would have been me, I would have got fussed at. I said, well, we were drinking pretty good. So,
yeah. She's a realtor, so you can't yell at her. But so much, I mean, I know your wife is too, but
yeah,
she's like one you don't actually go home to every night. So.
That's right. I said, by that point, we really didn't care. We were having fun. So,
it was a good time.
And then we just blamed Courtney for it.
I think you shouldn't have told him. You should have just said, hey, this is our third one. The second one we couldn't air. Leave the mystique out there and make people guess.
I know, right? So today we're drinking some Oak and Eden. Pretty good bourbon.
That's good.
Yeah, they do a little bit different. They got a piece of the barrel they put in there, and it finishes in the bottle.
So great way for them to cut costs.
That's right.
Get it on the shelf early.
So honestly, I have no idea what we're going to talk about. I have zero thought put into this.
Okay.
So what do you want to talk about?
That's a good one. Well, it's that time of year, right? It's like spring number 6 in Virginia.
Spring number 6.
Yep, we had early fall a little while ago, and we just had summer like last week when it was 98 degrees, and now we're back to spring.
Yep.
Next week it'll probably be summer again. So how's business? Things going good? People buying houses?
Yeah.
Inspecting houses, I guess.
Inspecting houses, yeah. We, it's funny because, obviously last July the market shifted all at once, not gradual, just all at once.
Yeah.
It was like a cliff. And then, but when the market shifts, typically for home inspectors, for us, once we get through the shift, we do pretty good.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's buyers or sellers market.
Right.
We do okay. A little bit different than realtors. So that's kind of where we, veer from them. Doesn't matter what market we're in. We can do okay as long as it's not the actual shift itself.
Right.
And the reason being is when you have a seller's market, you have people waiving inspections, but the volume's just so high that it really shouldn't matter, right? Of transactions. In a buyer's market, even though there's less transactions, whatnot, because there's less houses being sold, an abundance of buyers, everybody gets an inspection. Yeah. So, or abundance of homes.
Sellers,
not as many buyers, but everybody gets an inspection. Nobody's waiving it. So it kind of balances out. It's just that trend, that shift where everybody leaves the market. Buyers and sellers leave, and you're just kind of hoping it doesn't last long.
Right.
So January hit. We went through the holidays, typical holiday slowdown. Yeah. And 2 weeks, just like clockwork, 2 weeks after New Year's, right back at it. So
that's good.
So how about you?
We're not as impacted by, I say that, we're not as impacted by a shift in the market because broke AC is broke AC, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm really more of an on-demand as far as you don't call me unless you have a problem, not because you're buying or selling, but because there's an issue. The only thing that impacts me is the amount of calls I have to field and bids I have to give to realtors because obviously 95% of the realtors that I deal with, I do a lot of bid work for, but very little physical work for.
Yeah.
And that's just, they're using it as a negotiating tool 9 times out of 10. And then if the homeowner already has someone, half the time I don't even know if they know who the bid came from. Yeah. It's just, this is how much it was quoted to me, but to do this, and it's already a high stress environment. So most buyers or sellers, whatever, worried about the bottom line, not who did what. But so when it's, obviously everybody's getting inspections, I'm doing a lot more of that type of work, or look at this inspection report and price everything out for me, or do this and do that, whether or not it turns into anything or not. But, so usually we are incredibly slow in the shoulder months, like right now where it's 65 or 69 during the day and it gets down to maybe 55 at night, you're not using a huge amount of your AC or heating during those periods. And most customers think for some reason that it's just going to get better.
That's right.
If it's not acting up right now, it must mean it's fixed. You
so
know?
It's funny you mentioned that because HVAC has turned into the bane of my existence for home inspections.
Sure.
Because it's the one thing we can't really see.
Mm-hmm.
It does it work or does it not work? All the important stuff, you got to take the unit apart.
Yeah.
And we can't do that.
Sure.
Right. It's a visual inspection. So
right.
We get those phone calls and it said, hey, well, there was a hole here, or, there's
sure.
low on Freon there, and because of this, and it's like, yeah, well,
right.
I don't know, tell you, I mean, it's a visual inspection. We can't take it apart.
Yeah.
So, we're at that time of year when we get those temperatures where, we can do heating and cooling.
Sure.
And I tell them, I say, hey, look, it's a 15-year-old system. Worked great today. It's a very mild day.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to work to do anything.
Right.
I can't promise you come July. I can't promise you come, December.
Tomorrow. I mean, you never know. It's a mechanical piece of equipment.
Yeah. So, we always recommend at that point, go ahead and get the we'll call it the real estate inspection.
Sure. Yeah.
Just to get a better idea before you close. That way, where, is there a leak? I mean, does it need to be cleaned? All the stuff that we just can't physically see.
Yeah.
Electrical, man, we can take the panel off, cover off. We can pull receptacles out if we need to. Whatever. Plumbing, especially crawl space. There's a lot you can see. And of course, leaks just show themselves. Anyways.
Pretty self-evident.
Yeah, roofs are easy. All that stuff. But HVAC. There's a whole lot we can't see, and
you don't have the tools to do it.
Yeah,
most people don't. Unless you're in the field.
Yeah.
You shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
A lot of ways to get hurt. So
Break
don't
stuff.
do that. Yeah. I mean, we do a lot of the real estate inspections, or we've seen an uptick in them, I guess, since the market has shifted a little bit.
Yeah,
where we go out for someone, and usually those are pre-sale.
Yeah,
before they ever list the house or whatnot, they want us to come out and take a look and tell them how bad it's going to be.
Yeah, I'll tell you the story about the guy recharging the unit during the home inspection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You called me and was like,
yeah. Show up, and the guy's out in his van smoking a cigarette. So I'm pretty sure he was supposed to be done by the time I got there. And I walk around, he gets out of his truck, and I see him by the unit. He's got the scales out. He's got the tank, the 410A, clearly labeled, hooking it all up, doing what he does. And then so I tell the agent, like, hey, I'm pretty sure your system has a leak in it. And they just charge it. And the list agent was like, no, they were just doing annual maintenance. I said, they don't do that for free. They don't do that for free. I'm pretty sure.
I can promise you. If I pull out scales, it ain't for free.
Yeah. I said, get the they never got the invoice.
No.
I said, yeah, that's because agent got the invoice and saw it. And
yeah.
It
got changed real quick.
Yep.
And it happens a lot. I mean, it puts us in a weird situation because, you're dealing with a homeowner who has you come out. You're like, well, you're low, and you go over the options. You can add, but understand it's low. It's going to leak back out. You can leak stop, which, I personally hate. Industry seems to think it's okay, whatever. But, it is an option, which is like slime for a tire. It's supposed to fill the little small holes and activate with oxygen and whatnot. Or, we can look at actual component replacement, whatever the situation is. And when they're selling the house, 9 times out of 10, it's, well, let me think about it. And you're like, okay. And then 3 weeks later, you get the call of, I've decided just to charge my unit.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, okay. And then 3 days later, new Zillow listing, or whatever. And you're like, okay, I got this.
And I'm surprised how many times that we go through the negotiation process, and they'll say, hey, we want a reinspection, and then they send me the invoice for the unit for the HVAC work, and it'll say, charged, the system and whatnot. And I say, hey, did they fix the leak? And they're like, what do you mean? They fixed the problem. Well, no, they didn't. They put a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah.
There's a hole in the system. It's not supposed to have a hole in it.
Yeah.
So they didn't really fix it.
No.
And And everybody's like, oh.
And a lot of that is just education, right?
Yeah.
Like customers don't know. I mean, they're putting their trust in you, just like in you when you do an inspection. They go out there, do the right thing, tell them what they need, give them their options, be honest. And unfortunately, if it's not spelled out, I'm sure they told the homeowner that.
Sure.
But if the buyer, especially with first-time buyers, they have no clue what's going on 9 times out of 10.
No.
None. I mean, I've had to sit down with first-time buyers and be like, all right, well, like draw diagrams. Like, this is what an indoor unit is. Oh, yeah, that's my HVAC. No, your HVAC is the whole thing.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, that's what I would need. I would need the drawing.
A lot more than that.
Whoa, dang.
They don't make enough crayons to explain that to you.
We go to the Crown Factory. Get a custom one.
I'm sure you did. It was very special, just like you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, didn't mean that in a nice way.
You bring up when you go out and you do it for the agents or whatnot, or whatever, buyers, you call us estimates. And it's interesting because, that's really a Richmond thing, because we have to do cost estimates for the buyers. Versus, it should just be on the seller. The seller should be calling you, because the work's got to be done. Instead of you getting a quote just to give to the seller, just to negotiate, and then it goes from there. But I've had a lot of people, a lot of contractors. They started charging trip fees and stuff like that because for the same reason. Like, they just can't keep going out, especially when the market was crazy. And
when fuel got up to ridiculous amounts.
You just can't keep going out and giving these free estimates, and you never get to work.
Yeah.
You're literally doing it just so they can either get credit and they can do whatever they want with it, or the sellers just go ahead and fix it and they call who they want.
Yeah, whoever's always done it, or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a big softy, I guess, when it comes to that kind of stuff. Horrible business person when it comes to that. So many realtors. I mean, you had somebody that called me that one day working on, the system that Dominion ended up having to come out on. Had an issue in their panel box. And I was there like 4 hours figuring out what's going on with this thing to find out it's, a true electrical issue, not just something going on with our system. And didn't charge her a daggone dime.
Man, that other company that won't be named was going to charge $22,000 to replace wiring that they did not even have.
Oh, yeah. Told them they had knob and tube. And I was looking at her going, that's the craziest looking knob and tube I've ever seen, because they use in new houses. So,
that's right. That's right.
Whatever. But
man, could you imagine you quoted somebody $22,000 to rewire the whole house, and then once you show up and like, that's not the wiring that you quoted need to be replaced. Like, what do you do with that?
Well,
just go ahead and just make a bunch of holes in the wall and say you did it?
If it's them, you rewire, because their technicians are paid on a commission-only basis for the most part.
Nice.
Like a lot of the way, and a lot of the big companies do it, and I understand the reasoning why, because it generates a ton of revenue, not always for the right reasons, obviously, like we're talking about, but you might get paid $20 to go on a call, and then it's a certain percentage of the total ticket. So, and that's why I don't pay that way.
Yeah.
Because as great as I try to make sure my guys are, anytime you get a new hire, you don't know for a little while, right? Like, you can vet them the best you think you can.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. But, Taylor Swift over there playing on her phone. But, what? Huh? Who?
Huh?
Yeah. See? But, it breeds a certain level of uncomfortableness for me.
Yeah.
Because, they go out there and they find 50 things wrong with the system. It says the customer to do it. Might only be 3 that really need to be fixed or whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those companies in that situation, their guys just come out there and rip all that wiring out, and then the customer comes back in and goes, wow, that new stuff looks exactly like the knob and tube does. Yeah, man.
Awesome.
Makes you wonder.
It really does.
Well, I had a customer from another one of those larger companies called me for a second opinion, and they had come out there and done his downstairs system. He's like 90 years old. Dude's just, he's got a walker, everything, and sold him a downstairs system, but then told him he had to get a generator for his downstairs system to work.
A generator?
Generator.
Okay.
A standby generator. Home standby generator.
Okay.
I was like, okay. So I went and looked at everything, and I'm like, why does it need that? He's like, what do you mean why? You should know. Like, I'm starting to wonder, like, you really know what you're talking about? And I'm like, I'm starting to wonder if you know what you're talking about. What part of your standby generator makes this system work? And he's like, well, it kicks on like every Tuesday. And I'm like, yeah, that's to make sure it's still running. Yeah. That's like a normal check it does. Yeah. It has nothing to do with your unit, sir. Oh, you think they ripped me off? And I'm like, well, I mean, they did fine work. There's nothing wrong with the work, but no, you didn't need it. I mean, there's a misunderstanding somewhere. Yeah. You flat out got lied to. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
And he was one that got my numbers for his upstairs system. I called him back like after a week. Hadn't heard anything. Just want to check in on you, see what was going on. Oh, I decided to go back with that company to get that system done. Your price was so much less than theirs. I'm sure you were missing something. I said, understood, sir. Have a good day. Yeah, can't fix stupid.
No, you can't. I mean, yeah, we talking to somebody I know that owns pest control, and he went out for a second opinion for crawl space, and a big, well-known brand.
Sure, the only well-known brand.
Yeah,
that one.
Told them that they needed to encapsulate.
Of course,
15, 20 grand because there was a moisture issue.
Absolutely.
So Jeff got out there and asked the guy, well, what was your moisture readings? He says, well, I didn't take any. I said, you didn't take any moisture readings? He's like, well, no. Well, how do you know there's a moisture problem? Like, everything else looks good. Like, the insulation looks good. There's a vapor barrier. Very minimal mold growth. Like, did you check the moisture readings in the joist? Well, no. Well, then how do you know there's a moisture problem?
Anyway. Yep.
Yeah. And then he just got defensive and stormed off.
Yeah. I mean, what do you do? Man, sometimes you just wish you could shake people. Like, come on, please understand where I'm coming from. Take a piece of this knowledge. Like, I know that I'm here for a reason, but I don't know. And that's one thing that did change. Anytime the market shifts, especially in housing, it's a lot more competitive bidding at that point, right? Because somebody's not just going to call you and, all right, fix it. I just want it fixed. Just do it. They take you, and then they call 3 other companies to see what they think or do or whatever, and that's fine. I don't have an issue with it. Sure. But you end up with 2 or 3 opinions, and not everybody talks the same way or uses the same terms, so it just ends up getting the customer confused at the end of the day.
And different scopes.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, you'll have the guy who you just need to replace this system for this system. And to even swap, and then you'll have someone come in who actually, does calculations like, well, you actually need a bigger system, so so it's going to cost more, but they don't hear any of that. They just see that it costs more, and they don't understand why. So they go back to the guy that was cheaper, and and all of a sudden you still have an inefficient system.
Yep. Well, I mean, I was dealing with a customer probably about a month ago, and I quoted him a system, and he came back and said, well, my other guy said it needs to be like a 3.5 ton. I think I quoted a 3 or 2.5. And I was like, well, I don't know how he got to those numbers. So I sent him my Schedule J, which is just what we use from a calculation perspective. It takes square footage, how many windows you got, insulation, typical construction of the time based on when your house was built, et cetera, et cetera. Takes all that data, spits out how many BTUs you need, right? What size unit you need. So I was like, here's my calculations. This is why I determined what I needed. You can clearly see at the bottom, I use a software, so it spits out what size unit you need. It's not just like 36,000 BTUs, it's a 3-ton unit, And I was like, I would suggest you get his Schedule J to see what's different. Maybe I missed some square footage. I'm not perfect, All right, it is what it is. So he calls me back and says, well, the guy told me that what you did was illegal because you're not supposed to provide me the Schedule J. And I was like, sir, I literally printed the homeowner report from my software. Like, it's labeled homeowner report. And I was like, but did he share with you whatever? And he's like, no, he said that he couldn't provide that to me. It was against the law. And I was like, okay. Yeah, he doesn't have one. He probably didn't know what it is. Whatever.
Or he has one and it's going to show that he lied.
Right.
Yeah.
Good old boy is just like, average square footage, 600 square feet a ton. You need this, whatever. And there's a lot of that out there. But I don't know. People want you to be an expert, but
that's when you say, like, look, I broke the law for you. Yeah, that's how much I care about you. That's my client. I broke the law.
Breaking the law. Breaking the law.
I didn't even ask Courtney if she wanted a drink today. Why not?
My drinking is for tomorrow.
Because it's not a White Claw?
I don't even like White Claws. I like Bold Rocks. I like hard cider. I like my Appy juice.
Anyways.
Cider.
Every time I come here, I lose just a little more respect for you. You know,
I'm surprised I have any, actually.
At least you're setting the bar low.
Yeah.
Great day. There's nothing wrong with hard cider.
Earlier we were talking about how we're going to
Thank
start an OnlyFans subscription service.
I am not subscribing to that.
Gordon's going to be on it, apparently.
Oh, no. Get Todd on there.
No.
Hey, you can make a buck. I fully support it. Why not? People making millions of dollars for doing nothing, showing their feet and stuff. That's weird.
Right?
People pay for it.
It's just like
You
those
pay a lot
of money for
videos, man, like my kids watch. Of
The slime
other
videos?
people playing with their toys, like Barbie dolls and stuff. And it's like, you have a whole room full of Barbie dolls. Go play with them.
Yeah, my daughter, which granted she's 4.5. So,
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, it's coming.
It's coming. But she watches slime videos where they literally just open slime and pour stuff in there and then play with the slime. It is the most pointless video, yet somehow these people are making money.
Yeah.
We're doing something wrong. So
Like I'm not mad. I'm just jealous.
yeah.
You know?
My little cousins, they've really gotten into the, oh my gosh, what is it? It's the like guys that they build like the pools or whatever in like nature, and they just use like a stick.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that in the jungle and stuff.
Yeah. That's all fake, by the way.
Well, I
It's all
assumed
fake.
it wasn't
It's all
real.
fake.
They built a pool in 3 days and no water by digging out some dirt.
Yeah.
With a stick.
Yeah.
And the
I've
water's
tried to
like
dig
bright
enough ponds in
blue.
my life being a country boy. I can promise you that don't work.
I'm doing that for about 3 minutes before I give up and go inside. Yeah.
The kids, like, they fully believe that it's real.
Well, it looks real.
Well,
Yeah. They're like, look at him go. How did he build that?
I mean, I would say something about kids and gullibility, but you know, I've also seen some of the things you believe.
What do you mean? What do I believe?
What don't you believe is probably a better question.
I believe a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it don't
Like, there's
take much
gullible
to
on the
believe
ceiling.
There's what?
Gullible on the ceiling written. My cousin looked up, like, he's the same age as me, by the way. He like looked up and was like, what are you talking about? When his aunt did that.
Does he watch this podcast?
He does not. He doesn't even know I have a, like, that I'm part
See how
of
this goes?
Vlog, yeah.
a
Yeah.
podcast or anything like that.
This is
Can't
what she
call it
does. It's my company. It's my podcast.
Yeah.
That's what she tells me.
I know better
I do
because she hasn't
everything.
been here at least 33% of the time that I've been here.
That's true. That's true.
But if you believe everything on the internet like everybody else does, she's been here every time.
Been here
You know.
every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
So, what's some fun government regulations coming out for the old HVAC industry?
Oh, it's phenomenal. So, you know, I mean, right now, obviously, we just went through the shift.
Yep.
SEER 2.
Yep, SEER 2.
So we went from SEER 1 to SEER 2.
Uh-huh.
Customers have no clue what that means.
Nope.
Most HVAC guys have no clue what that means.
Nope.
All it means is that they changed the testing parameters. So now, used to, you could have a different static pressure, which is the total amount of pressure within the duct, right? That the unit is getting placed from the return and the supply. Total external was both added together. So all they did was change the parameters to where it is supposed to more clearly match, like it's a higher static pressure now to account for essentially older duct systems. Because everybody's putting these newer systems in old ducts that weren't sized properly to start with.
Sure.
And you end up with a much higher pressure than what is technically recommended per the manufacturer. So that shift is what changed to SEER 2. Well, it would have been fine if they just made that shift. We're now going to call it SEER 2. But instead they said, well, on top of that, we need to be more efficient. So if you were looking at an old 14 SEER unit, it would essentially be like a 13 SEER 2. You're looking at tiers. Well, so we could used to sell a 14 SEER. Well, now we have to sell a 14.3 SEER 2. It's equivalent to just over a 15 SEER unit. So
Just a bunch
switched,
of numbers.
Yeah. And then, you know, I mean, they're all made up, right? I mean, like,
right.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what
like
they
lumens.
are.
There's no such thing as an actual lumen,
right?
Made up.
So it's the seasonal energy efficiency rating, but the government determines what the seasonal energy efficiency rating is. So and what the testing parameter is going to be and how it's measured. So they made that change. So now every unit has to be more efficient, but it also has to be more efficient according to the new standards.
Yeah.
So you're kind of getting double whammied there. So everything got a lot bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Equipment got anywhere from 10 to 20% larger in most cases because the only way they're making it more efficient is making the coils bigger. Nothing else really changing. Overall design, concept, everything's the same.
Yeah.
It's just way bigger and heavier. So everything got a little bigger. It got rid of a lot of the smaller stuff that we used to be able to use that would fit better in some of these spots. So that change just happened. It got rolled out for air conditioners first, and then now heat pumps, and then it's going to the commercial style package units after this. Next year, which it will be starting, but not really official until 2026, 2025. 2026, I think, is when it is. It hits our market. It's 25 or 26. I can't remember right off. I don't have to deal with it yet, so they're going to change the refrigerant again. They have decided that 410, while still better for the environment, is not good for the environment.
That's right.
So we are switching to a new refrigerant. The beautiful part about that is that the manufacturers cannot agree on what refrigerant to use.
Good.
So two of them, across the 4 big brands, they are going to be using 2 different refrigerants. So now, not only do you have to have a technician that knows it is a different refrigerant, also has to determine which of the refrigerants it is to make sure that if they ever have to refill or do whatever, they're putting the proper one in there. Yeah. So I can only imagine the cluster that this is going to create once this rolls out within our industry of callbacks for other companies that can't figure it out or whatnot, and you get out there and it's just going to be it's going to be miserable. Yeah. Like I can't wait. It's super exciting for me. Not to mention that there's still a lot of R22 systems out there. Yeah. There are R22 drop-in systems out there that have a different refrigerant that is compatible with 22, but you can't put on top of 22. So all the 22 has to be pulled out. You put the other refrigerant in there. The only reason they do that, better for the environment, but also cheaper.
Yeah.
You're going to have 410, right? Because it's still up till that point, 410 is going to be the refrigerant of choice.
That's what 15 years of 410?
Pretty much. Yeah. And then you're going to have 2 new refrigerants. So our guys are going to have like 12 bottles on their truck by the time it's all said and done, carrying around refrigerant. And Lord knows, I hope they don't change to the pattern they did during COVID, where all the bottles are gray and they just have different writing on them. Because at least they used to be color-coded, green, pink, blue, Well, some manufacturers during COVID, I guess paint got expensive. I don't really know.
That's right.
Switched to all gray, just the numbers on it. Yeah. So I can't wait. It's going to be absolutely insane how this is going to play out. And the new refrigerants are also slightly flammable.
Good.
Yep. They've got a percentage of propane, which so does 410. So I don't want customers to think that their house is going to blow up if they get a leak.
Sure.
410 has a little bit of propane, not as much. But the new stuff is labeled as slightly flammable. So now, anytime you go across a bridge, that kind of stuff, we're going to have to get inspected, do all that kind of stuff. What are you doing? Rolled up
Can
like
you
38 pieces of tape.
Any louder with the tape?
Really?
That's fine. I
was actually being intelligent for a minute, and you ruined it. You know how infrequently that happens?
I can't hear it at all.
Yeah. But, so it is slightly flammable, which is going to create certain issues in tight spaces, attics, crawl spaces.
Sure.
With the installation of these products or replacement of components, because if you leave any in there, there's potential that you could create a flamethrower. So you're going to have that.
We're going to do a video on that one day.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Promo video.
Yep, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Not even with that, because the thing that most people don't realize is the oil. There is oil in all these refrigerants, right? It is flammable regardless, because it is no different than cooking oil or motor oil or any other petroleum-based product.
Sure.
So if you ever have an oil trap, which if you're looking at something and it's kind of like a wave, right?
Yeah.
Every low spot is an oil trap.
Mm-hmm.
Where oil can drop to, the gases can pass over it, oil builds up until it moves to the next.
Yep.
At a different company with a different person, I was helping them replace a coil in a townhouse. Walked through the basement to get to this unit standing up. We pulled the old coil out, put the new coil in. I turned around to go check on something else. I don't remember what. And all I heard was, oh, shh. And as I turned around, all I saw was smoke and a flame about that long shooting out of the line sets.
That's awesome.
Put the new line set into the new coil, or the old line set into the new coil, and started brazing. Well, the heat caused the fitting to expand.
Yeah.
Line set popped out. Flame caught the oil that was also expanding within the line set as it was heated, and created a nice flamethrower in this guy's mechanical room in his $500,000 townhouse. He came downstairs, wondering what was going on because all the alarms in the house were going off.
Yeah.
To a room full of smoke. As I stood there dumbfounded going, what are we going to tell this guy? Yeah. Like, it's out now. It didn't cause any damage, but that was miraculous to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, it was slight moments of panic.
Sure.
But, yeah, guy that I was with was like, oh, nothing, man. Normal. We got the doors open. It'll air out in a minute. The guy was like, okay, sounds good, and walked back upstairs.
That's right.
Like, great day.
Yeah.
But
I did an inspection, and agent unlocked the door, and she had things to do, and she's like, hey, do you care if I leave you by yourself? I said, that's fine. I don't care. I'm an adult, despite what, the state thinks I'm an adult.
I mean, most days.
And for those that don't know, in Virginia, you're supposed to have an agent escort you throughout the inspection or be in the house because nobody trusts us, apparently.
Right. You might steal something.
Yeah, might steal something.
I
only person in the entire process that doesn't have access to the house. But anyways,
yeah.
I said, yeah, we're good. So started dishwasher. First thing I always do, walked away, started doing other things, came back in. It's like, smell something burning. I think, what's that smell? Opened up dishwasher, water was off. The actual spitter, that spits out the water had fell off and was laying on the heat coil in the bottom of the dishwasher and was melting. I'm like, oh, well, that's fun.
You're just creating speed grooves.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, in my defense, I found a problem, right? It wasn't connected. It wasn't my fault. So turned the heat on because it was about this time of year, know. And then, about 5 minutes goes by, all the smoke detectors starts going off. Smoke's coming out of I was like, I'm going to burn this place. There's the first time that I burn a house down, there's not going to be any witnesses. The agents, I'm here by myself. Nobody's going to believe anything I have to say. This is great. So, turned that off. It was a mess. Everything I touched was trying to burn something down.
I only laugh because it happens.
Yeah,
all the time.
I mean, old 1980s system still kicking.
Hey, why not?
Yeah, it was great.
There they completely we had a new construction house that we were doing for a guy, and I took care of it for a buddy. He called me. He was supposed to do it on the side. It was a buddy of his. Couldn't take care of it. Whatever. We were taking care of it. It happens more often than you think for some reason. All my friends promise to do stuff and never do it. I'm sure yours are the same way. But
I don't have any friends.
Yeah,
so
I'm your friend, buddy. I'm your friend.
Yeah.
So we go out there. Like, he had already bought the equipment. Him and the guy had already talked to the electrician buddy that was also doing the work for him, whatever. And it was just a small rancher, nothing crazy. Unit going in the attic. I'm like, all right, cool. So we get there, get everything done. Electrician never shows. He's like, yeah, he's busy. I'm like, I know how this goes. Just, once it's wired, call me back. We'll come do startup, do whatever I need to do. Right. He's like, all right. He calls me frantic. And he's like, man, the electrician came this week and got everything wired up. We were doing some painting. Painters, it was cold at the time. Painters said they needed heater. The paint wouldn't dry right, whatever. So we tried to turn on the system, and now there's smoke everywhere. And I was like, all right, okay, turn it off. Like, why is it still on? And he's like, well, we needed to heat. And I'm like, yeah, but dude, there's smoke everywhere. That's a great way to burn down your new construction home. You probably don't even have insurance on yet. I don't know how that works, but, pretty sure that's not covered under whatever you have going on. So he turned it off, got over there. Well, he had wanted to do a dual fuel setup, which is a heat pump with a gas furnace and a coil. His electrician had never, evidently he was doing it on the side, apprentice guy, couldn't even pull permits kind of thing.
Sure.
Had never wired a gas furnace. And so he ran 208, 230. Well, gas furnaces are 115. Hardwired it in, no disconnect, no nothing, and turned it on and fried every component inside the furnace. So the fact the furnace blower even ran is amazing.
Yeah.
Granted, it only ran because it fused every contact in there. So there was no turning it off. You could literally turn the power off and it would keep running until the power completely got killed at the breaker.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was awesome.
That's
phenomenal. But yeah, it's wild, man. Things happen. You don't know, until you get in there.
So new construction, and I've shared many of these with you, but this for all those that waive new construction inspections, and these are the ones that have certificate of occupancy in hand, like they're closing the next day. The county or city has already seen it. Everything's passed. We're closing. Had the one where they didn't connect the exhaust to the HVAC in the crawl space.
Yep.
There was a gap, good 6-inch gap. And in that one. So, just carbon monoxide, just all over the place.
It's fine.
It's fine. You got the one that I think I sent you and I said, hey, are you supposed to tape over the exhaust?
Yeah, the intake.
The intake. Yeah, the intake.
The intake for the furnace on 90%.
Yeah, I don't know if it comes taped and they just didn't remove it or if they actually applied the tape, but either way, it was taped up.
It's a hole that you're supposed to put another PVC tube in to pull fresh air.
Sure.
Companies get lazy and pull from the crawl because by code, we can't if it's large enough.
Yeah.
They just didn't even bother running it outside the cabinet. They just
the project manager just happened to poke his head in there and was like, hey, I'm leaving. You find anything crazy? I said, yeah. I don't think this is okay. And I say, I don't think because I've never seen it. And now it's new construction. I'm questioning all my life decisions.
Right.
Because I feel like this is pretty obvious.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I don't think that's okay either. That the whole thing is taped up and trying to pull fresh air in. You got the, of course, they put the exhaust going through the roof sometimes by windows and places it doesn't need to go. And then my all-time favorite is it's a water heater, gas tankless water heater, and the exhaust is in the garage. Like that's where it terminated, was in the garage.
Yeah, you're trying to kill somebody.
Yes, like it was completely set up, finished. And there was no holes in the siding, no holes in the drywall. Like they were done.
Yeah. They mounted it. They were good to go.
Yeah. And I was like, man, I'm sitting there texting like plumbers, like, hey, this is not okay, right? Because now again, questioning all my life decisions. And
that's somebody that only installed an electric one ever. I was like, wait, you have to vent these?
Yeah. So yeah. You look like you needed to say something.
Well, when my house was built, which was 2017, and that was a new construction for us.
Let's clarify first.
By
your parents' home or your home?
Her parents' home.
Parents' home. Well, my mom's home now, so in the will it's
just
green.
Verifying.
It's my parent.
Don't try to spin shit like it's yours.
Anyways, upstairs is mine.
I bet.
The bathroom downstairs, which is like our guest bath, was never like hooked up. So all the water that we were
happens
using,
all the time.
Yeah, just
we
went to the
love
crawl
it
space.
because we're always the ones that have to go finish something. Right when the house is finished and everything's good to go, and we find out, oh yeah,
we found that out this year.
No,
this year we found that out.
All right, notice the homeowners. For the love of Pete, why does nobody ever go in their crawl space?
Buddy, I don't know.
Or pay somebody to go in their crawl space every year. I don't care. I'll go do it if you pay me. Just tell me there's a problem with your duct.
I'm glad you brought that question up because I was going to touch on it earlier, but we've been drinking and I forgot.
Yeah, it happens.
So back to your statement of you're not entirely dependent or at all dependent really on the real estate market, right?
Yeah.
Home inspectors have been trying to figure out how to survive based off anything other than real estate transactions for a long time. We can't figure it out.
Volatile as heck,
yeah. And that's the one thing, like, hey, if nothing else, if you don't want to do it, call somebody.
Yeah.
And I'll get asked from time, like, how often should we do this? And I'm honest with people. I want to say you should do a home inspection annually. I said, but, if you're in a newer house, 3 to 5 years, every 3 years, somebody should be going through your house. If you're in an older house, you may want somebody annually,
and even with new houses,
even if nothing else, I'll go in your crawl space. Because I don't know how many times we've gone into a crawl space. It's a complete train wreck. And it's like, oh, that's not my crawl space.
Yeah.
Look, I've screwed up a lot in my life, but I've yet to put the wrong pictures in the wrong report. So that's your house.
You're a better man than me, because I will pull them down to the crawl space and be like, hey, you first, yours. Jack. I'll show you exactly where everything's at.
My goodness.
Yeah, I mean, even with new houses, though, because we see it all the time, is joints have forgot to get glued, right? And it's hard. No one is inspecting every joint, you included. There's no way that you're checking for purple primer on every, for every crimp ring. Joints have forgot to get glued and get missed completely. And just like, Millennial over there was talking about.
Gen Z.
I'm pretty sure that's Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Don't group her in with my.
I don't want to be in the millennials.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't group me in with
them.
them.
Sorry to impact you, Taylor Swift. There's a side joke with that from earlier. We won't get into it. But, the problem is that can happen for years. If you wait 3 to 5 years, you're putting excess moisture, potential sewage, gray water, even if it's coming off a sink or a dishwasher, that's not clean water that you're dumping down there. That's all the chicken you just washed off your hands and whatever else. Every kind of bacteria known to man is going down there. And I can promise you that mold and mildew do not care. They grow so fast and they continue to grow, and just the quicker you catch it, the better. Yeah. So for the peace of mind alone, you think most people now, what's the average home sale price in Richmond? You probably know. I have no clue. 250?
No, I think it's higher than that.
Probably.
320,
325.
Probably.
So you're telling me that $325,000 on top of your family, whoever's living there. I'm going to assume, like most Richmonders, your average family size is like 2 point some kids. I think is what the last metric was.
Yep.
So let's say you got 2 kids and your significant other. What's y'all's health and life worth, right? So you add that to the $325,000 for the house. What's a $200, $300, $400, $500 inspection every year?
Right.
That should just be a cost of living. If you can't afford that, you shouldn't have bought the house.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Yeah. I'm not talking about a new HVAC every year. In $6,000 to $10,000, $12,000 system, that's not happening. But for a cheap inspection, for peace of mind, that's going to go over upstairs, downstairs, electrical issues. It's a great time, especially if they're the ones calling to ask you about, I've noticed this, I've noticed that. This light seems to blink sometimes. I get this smell when I do whatever, and at least you can pinpoint them in the right direction as far as where to go, because half the time they don't know who to ask.
Exactly.
It kills me every time. That's what I did not understand about the last real estate explosion. How are you going to buy a $1 million house and not do an inspection?
Because people break, and this my theory is people break it down into monthly payments. And so
about $1 million house, you shouldn't be worried about those.
That's true too, but
$3,500 monthly payment you're making.
And I say in every CE class we do is that we in the industry forget that somebody's spending $500,000 because we break it down into hey, it's $1,500 a month, whatever, so it's not that big of a deal,
right?
When it's really a $500,000 investment, there's this over 55 neighborhood in New Kent that despite me telling Courtney don't schedule me for certain inspections, she's been scheduling me a lot for these, and I've done like a whole street, and they're easy inspections. They're warranty inspections, and they're on a slab. And I did one, and the lady met me at the door. She says, there's been in the laundry room, there's a smell and there's flies. It's been like this for a year. So I go in there and you can smell it. It's a sewer smell.
Yeah.
And you can see the sewer flies. And what they did was you got your washer dryer, but they put the tankless water heater in there.
Yeah.
And they ran the temperature and relief valve and the drain to a floor drain. And I'm sitting looking at it, and it took me a few minutes to realize it, right? Because I'm looking at it. No P-trap. It's an elbow.
Yeah.
So I go where the HVAC is, the air handler is, and you can look right down where the condensate drain is because it's a slab. It's what they do. And I say, yep, P-trap. And I said, you see that water? She says, yeah. I said, because it's P-trap. And I said, you go in there and say, see how that's an elbow? Just go straight in? She says, yeah. I said, because they're P-trap. There's nothing keeping the sewer gases and the flies from coming in. Yeah. So they did it wrong. And she said, is that expensive? I said, crawl space? No. But you're on a slab.
Real expensive.
That's not fun for them.
And for customers that don't know what a P-trap is, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So if you draw a little line, looks like, a pregnant lady laying on her stomach.
Yeah,
a massage table, right?
Yeah.
What a...
I don't know how else to explain it. What is it? Like it's like
it's a sideways P.
Yeah, kind of, but it has a top part too. It goes straight.
And the whole purpose is to have water in the trap.
It fills in the trap so that air can't go through the bottom.
Yeah, the whole purpose of a trap
fills in the belly.
Yeah. Fills in the belly. Feels like the baby in the belly. And that's how I explain it. It's a pregnant lady laying on her stomach.
The water is the baby in the belly. The whole purpose of a trap is literally to keep sewer gases out of the house. And I was like,
And also for customers that don't know, let me explain the 3 smells in a home. Sewer, sink, because it has a distinctive smell that is not sewer, but still funky.
Yep.
That you have a clog in your sink or something's backed up. And then just normal water, like crawl space, humidity, whatever. Yep. The musty kind of smell that you get in basements or crawl spaces sometimes. Those are the 3. Like I can enter a crawl space and be like, all right, a poo pipe's broke, or a sink's leaking, or it's going to be an okay day. Yeah, we're going to be all right today.
In all my classes, I have. You ever watch Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Guy plays Hank.
Mm-hmm.
The PowerPoint. Yeah. There's a picture of him smiling and a picture of him not happy. And I said, if I go into crawl space looking like this and I come out looking like this, we got things to talk about.
Oh yeah.
If I come out in a different mood than I went in, I'm not impressed.
Oh man, it was probably the nicest house I've ever actually done work at. Yeah. It was on the river. It was like a $3.5-4 million house. Lady calls me because Jane, the other company, JR, I'm gonna say their name, but I'm not even gonna.
We can bleep it out. It's okay.
I don't care.
It takes Courtney 6 months to edit these, but she can bleep it out.
They wouldn't call her back.
A day.
And she didn't have AC, right? So I'm like, all right. She called us. Happened to be that I was in a service van that day and I was near where she was. So, of course, I get rerouted. That's fine. No big deal. It happens all the time. So I get there. She's explaining what's going on. She's like an artist, like super crazy house, like artwork and animals. And it was just, that's a different life these people live. You know what I mean? Like, it's breathtaking. You had to buzz to get in, like the whole intercom, Magnum PI style. Yeah. Like, Brian with C3,
Yeah, you brush off your shirt
you get
the wrinkles out,
So I hit this lady's crawl space and was not prepared for the funk that I was entering, all right? And the previous company, her drain line kept backing up. So their solution was to cut the drain line in the crawl space, and it created a small pond. And by small pond, I'm talking 40 feet by 30 feet in the crawl space. Beside the unit, which was also creating a ton of mold, mildew, moisture. Not to mention this crawl space was like 18 inches tall. In case those of you who don't know, I'm 6'8". Pretty sure like my head is 18 inches tall. Like there was only one way in belly crawling, one way out belly crawling. I lost tools down there.
You know this or not, but we have a robot. We can help you out.
Yeah, well, at that point, I was in it to commit it. I was in there, and
sounds miserable.
Oh, it was 100% miserable. I've never been so nasty because the only way to get to the unit was to go at the edge of the pond. And this was after I crawled and everything was raining down there.
Did you have your fishing license for that pond?
I should have, because there was definitely some stuff that was alive down there. Not to mention the 4-foot snake skin that was hanging on the unit. And I don't like snakes.
That's a no-go.
Yeah, like no bueno at all. Door was off the unit. I touched the unit. It shocked me. Electrical shock. Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm mad at this point, right?
You're soaking wet, touching electrical stuff.
Right. And the whole unit was wet. Everything was raining down there. Like I came, and so I find out the blower motor's bad. I don't even want the job at this point. Like I don't care anymore. Like I know why the other company quit calling her. Like they've been there 5 times and the guys, they've gone through all their guys and their guys are like, we're not going back. I get out to the.
That's one of those you refer to people you don't like.
Yeah, and like it was literally because it was mostly one level, like a huge ranch. So I mean, we're talking like this is like a 6,000-7,000 square foot home on the first level. Yeah. So and I was 3/4 of the way deep. That's like I didn't know where else to go. So I get out and I pull myself out, and I am literally covered in black and orange all the way down. The homeowner had called my office to see if I was okay when I was down there because she could hear me cussing. Like it was that bad. I mean, and I'd been gone for so long. Like she just didn't know what was going on. So I get out. She starts talking immediately, and she's out there. Like she's that typical what you think of like a Hollywood artist. Just like, I mean, we had to stop on the way to the crawl space to check out the bunny she's been feeding. Like,
sure,
you know, whatever. You know, just out there. It's a sweet woman, but just out there. But I get out, she immediately starts talking. And I'm just like, ma'am, I need a minute. And she's like, well, it looks like it's really bad down there. And I was like, ma'am, I need a minute. Like,
I need to rethink all my life decisions.
Yeah, like, I mean, it was bad. Yeah. So end up, I'm like, you got a bad blower motor? I'm not doing it. I'm not sending a guy to do it. I don't have a guy here that won't quit if I send him in that crawl space. And I'm not going again. Point blank, I'm not doing it. Like, you can call whoever you want and tell them this is what you got, but I'm not going.
If you would have called me, I would have gave you Todd.
Yeah, I'm not going back. Todd would have quit. I'm telling you right now, it was horrible. But what makes me laugh about that is I got back to the van, and she's standing there talking, and I just start stripping everything. Like, I'm down to my skivvies, and I throw all my clothes in her trash can, get in my van, and drive home in the skivvies. As I call my office manager and go, if I ever have to do another call like this, I will sell the company and quit. I was so mad. But she just stood there the whole time, just like watching me and talking to me as I'm stripping. I mean, just stripping. Like I had the, what do they call it? The Clorox wipes, whatever, like mopping everything down. Like, oh, it was so nasty.
She's been through that before with the others.
Oh, yeah. She called the office next day and was like, I found this tool in the yard. And my office manager, Jennifer, was like, whatever it is, man, you can keep. Because I can promise he's not coming back on site to get it. Like, he is done. But it was the most miserable experience. I mean, it was like spelunking, but not fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was horrible.
I went in one a couple weeks ago. Wasn't that bad. So the agent, Kristen Murphy, rhymes with Kristen Murphy, says, yeah, I think it's a little wet. So I go in there. It's an old house. And I should have stopped before I even went in there because I found enough, right?
Yeah.
And I go in there.
And you got a bot. You have no excuse.
Right. Well, I know. So I go in there and soft mud.
Yeah.
Right. And I look over and there's this lake by where the drain lines are going into the ground. I said, I don't know if it's just water or if there's a leak. I don't know. But that's one of many lakes. There's like, the Great Lakes. There's like 7 of them. Go to the back of the crawl space, which is really front of the house, like Vietnam. I mean, there's so many weeds that I'm going through to do this stuff, to do this inspection. And I get out, I'm just looking at her, like not impressed.
Yeah.
Not impressed at all. And
today is not my day.
No, it's not. Should have gave it to Gordon.
Yep.
Should have given it to Gordon.
Why me?
Yep. Yeah. It's miserable. Some days you pay, you charge too much. Some days you don't charge enough.
Yeah.
That was one of those days.
But that's what homeowners don't get either. Like, like you do all that and you charge them $500, $600, $700. Yeah. I don't care if it's $1,000. Right. I charged her $85, but I couldn't drive out there fast enough. Like, whatever. Plus the cost of my clothes, probably another $200. But, like to them, it's still too much. Like, well, what do you mean it's going to be $500? Ma'am, you are welcome to go underneath there and look for everything you want. By the way, here's some trimmers. Mm-hmm. Here's some weed clippers. This stick is to beat the snake that's probably living underneath there with it. I mean.
So Gordon went into one. Gordon's shorter, right?
Yeah.
And the crawl space was up. And I think the house was kind of like on a hill.
Yeah.
So the crawl space entrance was a little high. So he had to use a stool to get into the crawl space. Right? So he tells me the story. He says, I got up and he's kicking his legs to get into the crawl space, falls down into the crawl space, looks up, giant king snake, like on the wall. Just hanging out. He says at that point, like, I'm stuck. Like, I can't get out.
I'm going to a floorboard, Jack.
So I don't know how good of this is like
terrifying.
last summer. So I don't know how good of an inspection he actually did because the entire time he was just watching that snake.
Oh yeah,
every place it went. So, and for those that say, "Oh, it's a king snake, it's non-venomous," don't care.
No,
you don't want to be in a confined space with a snake. Poisonous or not poisonous, don't care.
I was in a crawl space in Powhatan, working on a gas furnace. Now I could sit up in this crawl space. Not stand, don't get me wrong, but I could sit up.
I'd be shocked if you could stand in any crawl space.
It happens occasionally. You'd be surprised. Should be basements.
Those are the ones you just take your time.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. And
you love
take
life.
Pictures. And yeah.
But I was working on this furnace. I'm sitting cross-legged in front of it, like testing electrical, whatever. Corner of my eye, I see something. I'm like, what is that? So I look over and, me to the crawl space door, probably 35, 40 feet. Like I can see the opening. Like it's not that far. I'm here, crawl space door there. Tons of plastic in between. It's black plastic. All of a sudden I see the plastic moving.
Yeah.
And it stops. And then it moves. And it stops. And then it moves. And it's coming my way. And I'm looking at the furnace and the door and that thing moving in between me. So I literally look over my tool bag and go, what's the cheapest thing I have in here? I picked up one wrench, chucked it. You see it go, and it goes back that way. So I'm like, all right. So I keep working. Like I scared it off. Feeling good about myself, Starts coming back. All right, what's the second cheapest thing in my tool bag? Grab a screwdriver. See it go off. Comes back a third time. Chucked another one. I'm like, all right, that's the way I figured out what was going on, luckily. So I threw the door on it and took off out the thing. Get upstairs, and I'm like, all right, man, number one, call an exterminator. You got a snake down there. I don't know what kind it is. Don't care what kind it is. It's big enough to make plastic ruffle. I can see what it is. It's approximately 4 to 6 feet long, and it likes somewhere between your crawl space door and your unit. Also, while he's down there, can you tell him to pick up 3 tools and let me know when they're here, and I'll come pick them back up. And she was dying laughing, but man, it happens more than you think. Like, people don't realize, but it is what it is.
I was getting ready to go in one, and I came back up to the house, and the agent was standing outside. Won't say who it was, but it rhymes for Kristen Murphy. And
I'm noticing a recurring trend.
Yes. And she says, "Hey, there's a snake in there." I'm like, "What do you mean there's a snake in there?" I said, "Yeah, it's poked its head out." I said, "Okay."
And I'm not poking my head in.
She showed me a picture of it. I said, "Well, did you encourage it to come on out?" She says, "No, I just took a picture of it. It went back in." I'm like, "Thanks."
Gotta love Kristen.
Do you?
Crawl space unable to be inspected due to potential life-threatening injury.
Yeah. Again, same thing. I don't know how much of that crawl space got inspected because the whole time I was looking for a snake.
Oh, yeah.
So,
100%.
Yeah.
And you can't get it out of your head, man.
No.
And there's plenty of people watching this that are probably like, whatever, man, snakes aren't that bad. But you all got a fear of something. Like, there is no reason anything should be able to move that fast without feet.
Exactly.
I don't care who you are.
And
I don't care who you are.
The problem is they don't announce themselves.
No.
They're just there.
Until they're angry.
Yeah.
And then it's too late because they announce themselves by biting the snot out of it.
Exactly.
And if you don't know what it was or take it in with you, they just don't know what to do for you, right? Like, let's see how bad it gets before we give you antivenom. And even then, like, probably copperhead, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, when I was a medic, one of the things they tell you, if you go on a snake bite, you're supposed to bring the snake in with you. I said, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Nope. We're not doing that.
After you wake me up after having bit by that snake, because I passed out after I saw it on me.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's not going to be there anymore.
No.
Like, it's gone, No,
that's not going into medical. Dead or alive. No.
Yeah, and my sister's a vet. She's like, well, did it have puncture wounds, Bryan? Because one of my guys got bit one time. And I was like, I guess it was bleeding. And she's like, well, that doesn't mean it had puncture wounds. And I'm like,
that's the definition of a puncture wound.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, like versus like a road rash. Like, I don't understand what's going on. But she's like, all you got to do is check for puncture wounds. I'd have told you. And I'm like, it still didn't tell me what it was. It just tells me it was a bad snake, like, But
the more you guys talk about crawl spaces, the more money it's going to take me to get into one.
Well, that's why, but back to the point, it's why customers don't go in there every year.
Yeah.
They're not fun. You got to crawl. You get dirty. Half the people are claustrophobic, so they don't want to be in there.
Mm-hmm. I'm not getting in there.
Why would you pay somebody to go for you? You don't have a problem paying somebody to bring you a $7 sandwich on a Thursday.
Right. That ends up costing you $21
right.
if somebody else is bringing it to you.
Right. But you have a problem paying somebody to go in your crawl space to inspect probably the biggest part of your total net worth that you have.
The most expensive repairs.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't done the first one, nor have I done the second one because it's not my house.
That's because of where you live. Nobody delivers out.
Exactly.
You've never had delivery here?
No.
You've never given a tip?
To be fair,
you've never been to a restaurant and given a tip to a waiter or waitress?
Yeah,
because you're still paying them to bring you your food.
Oh.
Because you're too lazy to do it at your house.
Okay. All right, I can relate to that. That's fair. That's
ordering food and paying wait staff. I also believe fully that if you can't afford a tip, you shouldn't go out and eat.
That's true.
Agree.
That's how they make their living, right? Like that's like me showing up at your house and you not wanting to pay me for doing work. That's not fair.
One of my best friends is a waitress, and
I'm not talking 10% or 15%, 25%
20,
plus.
Yeah.
Like you order a $7 sandwich, give a $7 tip.
100%.
Facts.
But right. Amen, sister. That's going to be the tagline, guaranteed of the video. Amen, sister.
Right there. Amen, sister. Yep.
But it just kills me. But people do. They relate. They don't have a problem ordering 700 Amazon packages that they don't need and getting Lululemon pants that cost $100, which was a life-shocking event I found out last year.
Hey, no, this is a Lululemon zip, my fanny pack.
Oh, that's how you say it, Lululemon.
I'm surprised she didn't knock over the camera with that little move there.
Either way, I went up there with like 8 pairs of pants, and the guy rang me up, and I was like, wait, what? Hold on a minute. It blew my mind. Like, that guy over there is wearing those pants. There's no way those are $130.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
There's a Lululemons in Williamsburg, like in Colonial Williamsburg. I do a lot of walking and running there, and I have yet to go in that store, and I'm pat myself on the back for that one.
There's one in Short Pump, which has to be closer.
Not for me.
Where do you live? Don't answer that.
On the other side. Like,
might be some weirdos that watch this thing.
Yeah. So I'm like 30 minutes away from
It's dangerous, but either way, people will order those pants all day long, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll drive a Lexus. Mm-hmm. They will
for the logo
do whatever, maybe, but they won't get their house crawl space inspected because it's too much money.
That's right.
Priorities.
Yep, I agree, 110%. Mm-hmm. But being in the trades is easy for me to say because I see the worst. You're taking the chance that you're the best. Yes, you know what I mean? Like you're just assuming in your mind, out of sight, out of mind. Don't have to worry about it. There's no way that would happen to me, and it's always fun and games till it does.
Well, that's just like
not a problem until it becomes one.
Like it's new. We're good. Yeah.
But you could fix a $500 problem today with a $500 inspection. I'm just whatever, $1,000, or you could wait 7 years till your HVAC system blows up.
Yeah, it's a $7,000 problem.
And I go down into your crawl space, and my guy instantly passes out from the amount of mold, mildew, and funk down there, and it costs you $20,000.
Yeah,
to get it completely remediated and drainage put in, and whatever you needed to do because at this point everything's ate up. You got a sister joist, you got to do whatever. But you waited 5 years. You saved that $500.
That's right, man. You saved that $500. It's like all these, going back to the market we're heading in, and that we're kind of there of people waiving inspections, and here we are. You would have thought in the last go around, enough people would have realized that was a bad idea.
But those aren't the same people buying houses now.
Yeah,
or the people that couldn't get a house before.
Yeah, or the people that price shop. I saved $25. That's cool. You also got $5,000 repair bill for something that wasn't caught.
Well, hey,
say $25. I
say it all the time, right? Like back when I used to mess around with race cars, you had 3 things: you had cheap, reliable, or fast.
You can't have all 3.
You can have 2 of the 3.
Yep.
The same as every trade. Now you can change one of those. Like usually, cheap is cheap, right? That's cost. Fast is fast to a certain extent, as far as convenience or speed of delivery, and reliable is how good of a job do they do?
Yeah.
Or is it going to last? No company out there is giving you all 3.
Yeah.
No company. I don't care if it's the big boys in my industry, your industry.
No.
You're one of the big boys in your industry, so I don't know why I'm bothering. But same difference. You might be able to get them out there quick, and they might do a great job. They ain't going to be cheap.
No.
You might find somebody that's cheap, and they do a great job, but when you need them on a weekend or a holiday, it's a one-man show.
Yep.
He ain't coming. He ain't answering the phone. during the summer when it's 105 degrees out there, he's got a 2-week wait on getting to you.
That's right.
You got to suck it up, Buttercup. It is what it is, you know? So it's the same in every industry. You save a little bit of money, that's fine, but you're giving up either the convenience factor or the reliability and the thoroughness factor. And it doesn't matter what industry that applies to. Yours, mine, you know, anything. Yeah. And it's what customers tend to forget because they want all three.
They do.
And based on advertising out there, they think they're getting all three. Yeah. Well, guess what? That's why marketers make a lot of money for convincing you that, you know, you need whatever it is they're selling you.
Yep.
So, you know, it is what it is. But
except for Bud Light because their marketers are on leave of absence now.
Yeah, you know, I mean, they made some questionable decisions with their life.
Just let you know, that could be you. Leave of absence.
What?
Huh? She'd be like, I get a vacation?
That's right. She already gets a monthly vacation.
What? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, every month she takes off something.
I will be next month, though. Yeah. I didn't take off any this month.
That's probably a lie.
She works from home, so I don't know you know.
Oh she's working from home?
Yeah, she ain't doing any work at all.
BS. I worked from home for 10 years. I can tell you right now in corporate America, I used to mow my grass on conference calls. Flat out.
I don't do that. We got somebody for that.
Yeah. No, not we.
We got somebody.
Let's go ahead and clarify because I guarantee you none of your income's going to that.
Oh, none of our incomes are going to it.
Our incomes.
Mm-hmm.
Who's mowing the grass then?
We have a family friend that does it. My mom takes care of all of
blackmail.
Yeah, well, she takes him to doctor's appointments and does all of his money stuff.
Then you do pay him. You just pay him with gas and convenience. Everything has a cost.
Yeah, I mean with time, more time than gas because she's just there with him to make sure that because he doesn't understand what doctors are saying to him, so he doesn't take his medicine.
Oh, but she tells him when to schedule the appointments?
I'm pretty sure she schedules it and.
Oh, but she schedules around her schedule.
Yeah.
So convenience. Mm-hmm. You should probably look up that definition.
I mean, I know what that means.
Sure.
Do you?
It's a big word.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't spell it for you. That's true.
Yeah, it doesn't come up underlined in text. She has no idea what's going on.
Autocorrect is a friend and an enemy sometimes because it doesn't know what I'm saying.
Oh, trust me, I know. I've got this glowing review talking about her expletive with my company, and I'm like, man, please proofread the future. We did not cuss you, I promise.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it happens.
Well, man, I enjoyed it. This was a good conversation.
Yeah, we talked about nothing and everything all at the same time.
Absolutely. What do you think about Oak and Eden?
Big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan.
That was good.
I think we should have drank at least 2/3 of the bottle, so we slacked a little bit.
We did slack a little bit today, you know.
But we were trying to keep an eye on that over there to make sure we were recording the whole time.
I know, right? What do you mean? Advantage of us.
Yeah.
I did my job the first time.
How'd you think it went?
I think it went well.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
We got to start making some money off of this somehow.
I know.
If the Two Bears podcast can make it, there's no reason the Dumb and Dumber one can't.
Well, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
We'll do this again.
Anytime. You know me. I'm always open to have a drink.
That's right.
That's right.
All right, buddy.
All right, man.